I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to the conversation with Al McFarlane. Today is Friday, August 19th, 2022. And typically Friday, we do the Healing Circle with our co-sponsor, our colleague, Dr. Bravada, Garrett-Akinsanya. But today we decided to present a program that I just moderated a couple of hours ago. And it's the regular monthly meeting of the Northside Urban Coalition. That also in partnership with my colleague and friend, Diana Hawkins, and the people at the Hawthorne Neighborhood Council. The Northside Urban Coalition has been focused, among other things, on understanding and mitigating the impact of drugs, and in particular, fentanyl and other opiates. Our neighborhoods, our communities are under siege, and we talk about that today. We talk particularly about a day of healing being prepared and presented to and for our community by stellar entrepreneur Tito Wilson of Wilson's Image. Tomorrow, starting I believe at 10 o'clock through the afternoon, a full day on West Broadway between Penn and Logan, a full day of health experts, of music, of food, of vendors, resources to allow us to ask questions and get checked on things that may be bothering us and get connected to resources to focus on our health. I lead with the notion that our health is our business, and we need to be in the business of being as healthy as we possibly can be. So with that, I'm going to start with my introduction or calling the meeting to order this morning at 11 o'clock. And I think you'll enjoy this rich conversation. This is community, being community. This is healing at the community level. And we'll see you next time. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Northside Urban Coalition. And thanks to Diana and the team for making this project happen. We always start with a crime update, and then we have on our agenda a presentation by our colleague and friend, Brother Clarence Jones, who leads the Human Partnership. Well, let's begin. Is Bill here? Bill Magnuson? Bill, good morning.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. No complaints.
Good to see you. Let's have an update.
All right. So for Hawthorne, for Part 1 crimes for a month to date, it's August 1st to the 19th today. And remind everybody, like I always do, that a Part 1 crime is anytime there's been a victim involved. There's been 0 homicides. There's been 2 rapes, 2 robberies, 8 aggravated assaults, 1 burglary, 6 thefts, 10 auto thefts, 0 arsons, for a total of 29 Part 1 crimes for a month to today for Hawthorne neighborhood. And then I was out to yesterday. I was out at Freeman's and department store. Did a security assessment. I started writing that today. And then I hopefully will have that completed for Tuesday or Wednesday, and I think, or Monday or Tuesday. And the biggest concern that I came across after talking to them is that they're just having issues with the addicts that are buying the drugs up on the corners of Lyndale and Broadway, and then going behind there and, smoking and stuff. And it's just kind of caused a lot of disruption to their block there where their store sits. So that's one of the issues. So I make some recommendations, and hopefully that'll help alleviate that situation. I know there was an update. I talked to the board last week, so that was done. I got to complete the report, so that should be done by Monday or Tuesday, and I'll send it off to them then. And they said they're going to implement some of my suggestions, so we'll see how that goes. And as far as everything else, we're just out there doing what we can. Still working with the ATF, the FBI, and some of those things. Talked to the board. I think the last count we were at over close to 175 guns seized for the month of June through August so far, and upwards of over 100 arrests made to get some of those bad actors off the streets that are causing some problems for the community up here. So we're still working on that. Hopefully that will continue. And then we're still with our community partners, A Mother's Love, 21 Days of Peace. We push for peace and working with some of those groups too as well. So, and then Brian Heron's been helping us out with his community up on 36 in Lyndale, up there as well, trying to keep that area calm. So we're still out there working with those community partners as well.
Are you hopeful or is the department overwhelmed? What's the general feeling, the vibe among the colleagues, the men and women who are in uniform?
The general feeling up here is, to be honest, that we're positive. We have a lot of people that want to be up here. It has to do with the 4th Precinct's leadership, and also with the way that the community supports us up here as opposed to other areas of the city. So I can't speak to that. I just know that we have a lot more community support up here because we've heard that from the officers that want to work up here. And one of the reasons why is because they're when we wave to the community, and I've experienced this myself, we actually get waved back with people using their whole hand and not just the one finger. So
That's a good thing.
it is a good thing.
Yeah.
So I think
Listen,
up here we're all good and we're fighting the good fight. So
I think it was at the Hawthorne meeting last week, a week before last, that I mentioned, I think Diane, correct me if I'm wrong, that I was shocked by driving down Broadway and looking out my window at the bus shelter right by Cub Foods, I think. Either that one or one further down closer to Lindale. Maybe it's the same place, but looks like on a couple occasions I saw people in the shelter just bent over, wrecked. And, I'm not an expert, but it looked to me like these people were, bent over on drugs, right? Just I can't describe it, but it's not a good thing. And then I also mentioned that I was once in the drive-through at the bank waiting for the transaction up and through the pneumatic tubes, but there was a guy sitting on the curb by the bank, just bent over, out, sleep, drunk, high, whatever. And so my alarm button saying I'm seeing too much of this. And has that to do with fentanyl? Did we have that discussion, Diana? Was that when we talked about it?
We talked about it some, but it wasn't in depth. So that's why I'm kind of hoping that this group here in their work could maybe touch on what they see, if they see that,
Okay.
because it is a lot of that fentanyl, isn't it, Bill?
yeah, it's a lot of fentanyl. And then there's also, unfortunately, there's a new pill that's coming up from Mexico that we found out. And I think they call it Molly. And that's what's being sold up at Broadway and Lindale. And that's what they're smoking. And that's what Al has probably seen at the bus stops up there. They're smoking a pill called Molly. And that's in tinfoil. And I think that's what Freeman's is seeing too. And it's kind of like the new crack from what we've been told too. So it's basically what we need is what we're hoping to is get some of these treatment centers or whatever like that with their outreach workers to go out there and try to talk to some of these people, maybe get them off the streets and get the help. Because I know for a fact, working in jails and prisons, that the last place that we're going to do any good is putting addicts in jail and locking them up. It doesn't same thing as mentally ill. It doesn't really help them that much. So we need them to be able to get some treatment, get the help they need. And that's just something that we have to figure out.
And there are interventions like, is it Narcan?
Yeah.
That can help save lives. And again, Diane, I can't remember if this was the program that we were on together or a different program I was on, but my guest talked about how we need to have more training and more accessibility to Narcan. That there could be a strategy where you train block clubs or churches or store owners to have that intervention available, and the training to use the intervention when they see somebody that is at risk of dying because of an overdose drug. But maybe if not you, Bill.
No, that's you're right. That's part of our work with He-Man. That's what Clarence is out there doing with the Narcan, and that's exactly our
I was trying to remember the conversation. Well, listen, we'll come back and go into that as we go on today. Any other questions for the Bill and the precinct? Last question I have for you is, how does the department and rank and file look at changes occasioned by the installation of Dr. Cedric
Alexander
as the new commissioner? How's that settling?
I think everybody's kind of open to it and just waiting to see. I think that it's probably I anticipate that it's probably going to be a good thing. I think that some of the feelings up here, I know that the inspectors had some positive meetings with him, and I think that we're just hopeful that it's going to bring the needed changes that we need up here to it, and then, out there that's going to reflect the community as well. So I think that we're optimistic and hopeful.
Clarence, not Clarence, but Bill Magnuson, thank you so much. Thank you. Let's
Thank
go
you.
now to Clarence Jones, Brother Clarence, Human Partnership. Good morning. How you doing?
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And as always, I appreciate the opportunity to be on this show to talk about the work that is happening with the Northside Urban Coalition. And so I'm just going to give you some ideas about the things that we've done. We were involved with the Minnesota Spokesman Recorder boat ride, and we were taking our our Narcan and our community education there. And Suzanne was there with us. Suzanne Young from the city, she did that. We also were involved at the Corcoran event in South Minneapolis, representing the coalition, and we were able to talk to quite a few people about the issue of Narcan and substance abuse. We also completed trainings. You were talking a little bit about the trainings, Al. We are doing trainings now. We completed 3. We're looking at about 10 more trainings. But I want to just share with you another training that we're getting ready to do. That is before, during, and after the bullet. We're going to be actually doing a training around gun violence, and we're going to be focusing in on parents and middle-aged students.
Mhm.
So that's getting ready to come out, and there will be a flyer that will be sent to Diana, and so it can be sent out to the rest of the group. Of course, we're going to be at Tito's event tomorrow. I'm not going to talk much about that because Tito and his colleagues will talk about that. And we also are going to be at Back in the Day, which is in September. So it'll be right before our next meeting. And what we're going to do there is we're going to be doing a variety of different community educations, and many of those things are going to be around substance abuse. So we actually are inviting community members to come in and have much more of a personalized conversation about opioids and around substance abuse and those kinds of things. And one of the last things I want to share is that we are finally getting ready to launch our Somalian substance abuse brochure. We've finally got I think that we got the wording together, and now we just got to find the most appropriate picture, because we have to have pictures that are appropriate for that community. So we're doing a lot of different things, and I want the coalition to understand and to know that I do appreciate, Human appreciates the opportunity to work with you, and we look forward to continuously working together to make our community healthier. So that's my report.
Any questions or comments? Okay, great.
I just want to say
Right.
before we move on that I appreciate Suzanne Young. She went away joining us, but Suzanne is going to be our guest speaker for the coalition in September. And then her and Clarence both were going to talk a lot about opiates in depth, because our kids is getting ready to go back to school, and this is what we're facing. So I really appreciate Suzanne and the city being a part of this with us. Back to you, Al.
Okay, great. Then let's go back to our discussion, our main topic today, and that is the My Strength, My Health Survey 2 update. And we're pleased to have, am I right or wrong? Am I reading this wrong?
No, not My Strength, My Health. We're going to talk about My Healthy Life event with.
You know what? I'm looking at a note here from April 22. Pardon me. Let me look at the right note, boy. Okay.
That's okay. It's
the topic
Friday.
is live your healthy life.
Yes.
And it's my friend, Brother Tito Wilson, of Wilson's Image, and the coalition of North Minneapolis businesses and community leaders putting on an important event. Tito, apologies. How you doing? Welcome. Good to see you again.
Yeah, I'm doing good, Al. Good to see you as well, man. We got, this twice in 1 week, man.
Twice in 1 week, man. We keep doing this. It's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's turn the floor over to you, because I think what you're doing is so important, so critical, and you're doing such a world-class approach to building community. Talk about the vision and the plan, and make the invitation to the community to support, to show up.
Okay, cool. So, tomorrow, Saturday, August 20th, from 10 a.m. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm on Zoom. I'm sorry.
This is what's in the back.
Okay. Sorry about that. I come outside to the car to take the Zoom because I don't want to be disturbed in the shop. Being disturbed in the car. But anyhow, I'm sorry. So yeah, tomorrow, Saturday, August 20th, from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m., we're having a health community block call. We're having a block party right here on West Broadway Avenue. And the deal really is, to bring healthcare resources to the underserved people of North Minneapolis and beyond. So we've partnered with so many healthcare systems and healthcare networks to bring in just a load of resources. I mean, every ailment, everything that a person could be suffering from, whether it's them, make sure that resource is on ground, or if it's not on ground, then there'll be somebody that can point them in that direction. And so today here we have 3 of the sponsors, Children's Hospital, Prairie Care, and North Memorial Hospital, and they'll have an opportunity to speak to, why they're involved and what they're intending on doing tomorrow. But yeah, so it's going to be all out. We're blocking off the intersection right here at Penn Avenue down to Logan Avenue. And I mean, you name it's going to be, like I said, all of the healthcare resources, education, preventative care resources, and knowledge around that, and relationship building, which is most important. For a long time, there's been this barrier between our community and healthcare systems. And healthcare system has not always been friendly to African American communities. So what I've done is to set out to be a bridge between our community and these healthcare systems, because we need it. I mean, people in our community are suffering and dying from illnesses that are really preventable and treatable. But because of this long-standing kind of like standoff, in many regards, we're just suffering and continue to suffer. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of riding down the street and seeing our brothers and sisters, like looking like zombies, you know what I mean? Because, the drug issue is really bad. I get so many brothers that come in the shop to, get haircuts. They're suffering from high blood pressure and diabetes, what is it that you end up getting, end up on dialysis, you know what I mean?
Kidney failure, yeah.
Kidney failure, you know what I mean? And then heart failure. It's just, I mean, we are literally dying at alarming rates at so much that we really shouldn't be. And, so we certainly have to take responsibility for how we take care of ourselves, but we also need a friend. We need friends in the healthcare systems. So that's the reason why we're putting forth this event, to start being acknowledged and recognized as important. And we have to, so post George Floyd, everybody is up in arms about, hey, you know what, we want to be a friend to the Black community. What can we do? You know what I mean? We're here to serve you. So if they've been looking for something to do, this is it. You know what I mean? Come on in, bring your resources, your financial resources, your internal resources, everything that you got at your disposal to make sure that you're serving our community, bring it in. So that's where we're at.
Let me ask you to introduce the colleagues, the stakeholders that you said are on the call today, and have them join into why they support this and what their missions are in building health in our community.
Okay, so please, you're gonna have to forgive me. I'm still trying to Prairie Care. The sister's name keeps it's.
Yeah, Prairie Care. Right.
I'm sorry.
No, you're all right. Thank you so much for holding the space and creating this space for this conversation. My name is Dr. Cotter. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist at Prairie Care. And we are a healthcare organization that exclusively offers psychiatric mental health care to adults as well as youth. Most of our services are focused on the mental health care of youth. And we have hospital setting, we have outpatient intensive day programs as well as outpatient clinics. So a host of services depending on what the need of the family and that child is. But we are happy to be here and support. So thank you, Mr. Wilson, for the introduction.
And I see Adrian Thornton is here.
Yes. Hello, Alan, Tito, and everyone. Thanks for having me again. I am really excited for the block party. I keep telling people, you know, I'm from Georgia and neighborhood block parties were a big thing. And so the fact that we're focusing on health is amazing because, you know, Children's Minnesota, we exclusively focus on kids. We look at health of their families as well, but we're one of the only organizations in Minnesota that exclusively focuses on the pediatric population. So as the kid experts, we are excited to bring our mental health expertise to this event and just help families navigate this space that has gotten worse with COVID-19 for our kids. You know, there are a lot of kids who are suffering from mental health issues that weren't experiencing this before COVID-19. And so we personally love Prairie Care. We work really closely with them. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19, you know, they are, like many other health systems, overwhelmed. And so Children's Minnesota has taken a step to actively invest in our community. And we are opening an inpatient mental health unit. And we are doing a lot more in outpatient services. We have, you know, day programs that we're investing in different communities. And hopefully we'll be able to reach some people at this block party tomorrow. We're going to have mental health professionals there to talk to kids and families. We'll have some mindfulness activities that we can share with families to help kids deal with the stressful time that, you know, even though they're back in school, they're still dealing with some of the isolation associated with COVID-19. And so just kind of helping them work through that and giving the parents and guardians some tools to utilize at home. So we are excited to participate, and I will be there dancing all day long. So I hope to see you all there.
All right. Let me go back to Dr. Cotter. You know, I am doing a program later today, Dr. Cotter, with Dr. Bravada Garrett-Akinsanya from African American Child Wellness Institute. We meet every Friday talking about health and mental health for our people in our community and our children. But I'd love for you to talk about how critical it is that we teach ourselves that resources exist to help us claim and continue to move towards being our healthiest selves, mind and body, and to help us get beyond some of the stigma historically associated with quote unquote mental health. What do you think, Dr. Cotter?
Well, absolutely. I think we can't, you know, state that, you know, enough. I think when we think about the barriers to getting mental health care, you know, this runs deep. It runs generations. And one of the things that we are educating, you know, ourselves throughout Prairie Care, and we have been over the last few years, is understanding the historical roots of trauma within medical systems, but specifically within mental health care. You know, there are precedents in our history over generations and not too long ago that when you open that door and you ask families, what has it been like, you know, for their parents or grandparents or people that they know and love, when they've reached out for help, what has it been like? You know, there are a lot of barriers to care because of historic abuses within the mental health care system with regards to diagnosis, treatment, all different things. Currently, there are a lot of structural barriers, right? We understand in our society, everything's connected. So housing, educational opportunities, where you work, everything is connected to healthcare. And so what happens is if you're a family who's struggling in one area, there's a vulnerability throughout. And so a lot of people don't have access to healthcare because of that structural iniquities that we have. One of the things that, I'm reminded of is that Minnesota has, one of the, if not the largest, racial gap when it comes to our kids in school, the educational achievement, if we look at math and reading. And that's even when you think that the kids are all attending school the same amount. So there's something else happening in the classroom that's making that difference happen. And, again, it's Minnesota has the largest, racial gap in home ownership. So these things are connected to the lack of access to healthcare. The other part of that equation is, let's say you do make it into the clinic, primary care, urgent care, mental health care. You have to deal with implicit bias. You have to deal with all these deeply rooted prejudices that play out, and people get delayed diagnoses. They don't feel heard. Assumptions get made, and standard of care is not done. So we need to do a better job as clinicians to be critical about how we are training and how we're doing our work. I think in terms of accessing services, what I'm looking forward to tomorrow really is a big push of resources, that we're going to have information, we're going to have a lot of staff on hand being able to describe what does it mean to get mental health care. So if you were to come into the hospital or to one of our, intensive programs, partial hospitalization clinic, what does it look like? So one of the things that we're doing a lot of right now, a push within Prairie Care, is to make sure that all of our staff that are caring for patients across our programs are using trauma-informed care. Those 6 key principles that, SAMHSA, the CDC came up with specifically to say, this is how we do better care. This is how we don't re-traumatize. And part of that is transparency, so people know how to access services. Part of that is recognizing the historical roots of trauma and lack of access, and not, being part of that same system that's done that.
What about that? I mean, I'm glad to hear you discuss that. I'm going to ask you to unpack that a little bit more, if you don't mind. And
absolutely.
if our audience, if our people in the room don't mind, I think it's critical to have this kind of discussion. And what is the historical, the context of trauma, particularly for people of color, particularly for African people. You've mentioned the disparity, the disparate outcomes in wealth and education, in health, and the feeling in the past might have been that the deficiency resides in the people, that there's something wrong with the Black people, that they have not shown capable of being fully present in the robust prosperity. Minnesota is one of the best states in the country, right? But it's one of the worst states in the country for Black people and people of color. So, yes. And in past, the public accepted the idea that the problem was not in the society, but in the Black people. They're lazy, they're not smart, all kinds of reasons to explain the condition they're in. How does psychology ask us to look differently now, or does it?
I mean, I'm so glad you bring that up. And that's one of, the challenges when we talk about that word stigma, because automatically people are, ascribing that to the person who's not getting care. There's a stigma coming from the community to not access care. And I think it's important to ask, why is that stigma there? Why does it make sense that people would think such a way and hesitate? And it really is a protective stance. And so if you look at the history, this is well documented, there's not really a debate on this. It's out there and it's factual because it was part of medical care. It was part of, canonized diagnoses. It was part of policy at the federal level. That it is well known in the medical history literature now that the medical field, specifically psychiatry, reinforced and was reinforced by the institution of slavery. People don't want to talk about that, but the reality is many of our families in the community know this history. And so for those of us who are in the clinics and hospitals, we're behind the 8 ball if we don't know it. And that's a big piece that is important to acknowledge and recognize the impact and legacy of that today. Because it's not something that happened at some point in time and stopped. You know, maybe our history books might teach us that, but it's wrong. There have been generational abuses, and we're talking about all the way, we're talking about Tuskegee was not a long time ago. Right. And so there are very specific policies in the medical history that you can outline specific diagnoses that actually were framed to justify continuing slavery, talking about how a condition of insanity is somehow inherent in being Black, right, or being Native American. And so you saw a big push, especially up before, the Emancipation Proclamation, of a lot of diagnoses of insanity, clinical insanity for Black men, right? And so you think about this shunting between away from society, out of society, and into either asylums or incarcerated. And then, that really needs to give us pause. A lot of the explicit policies back then are responsible for the implicit biases of today. Specific diagnoses about Black bodies being insensitive to pain. It's there in the history. And so I think just to kind of highlight, there are reasons why stigma exists, and we need to honor that and recognize what we need to do differently.
Well, thank you, Doctor, for sharing, this backgrounding information. And I want to remind all of us to let our contacts, our resources know that you will be among those, along with the children's, helping give our community connections to resources and to knowledge that can help us live our best lives and move towards being and living fully healed lives. It's possible. I think it's possible both to be healthy, and we deserve to be healthy. And I think we simply have to, not simply, but we must always talk towards the outcomes we desire and act in community to make those happen. Any other questions, any other stakeholders here, Tito, that you want to have join in the conversation?
Absolutely. We have Megan Phillips from North Memorial here.
No, that's Claire, not Megan. You guys are on the road today.
Just take my microphone. Claire. Take my microphone away from me and just drop it, man. I can't seem to get it together.
Hey, Claire.
Claire, I'm looking at Megan thinking that, sorry.
And you have to unmute, Claire. You're muted, I think. Is anybody hearing? I'm not hearing her.
Nope, not hearing her.
Not hearing her.
A big buzz here.
Yeah, she's got a buzzing sound. Maybe we could get Adrian to elaborate a little bit more on.
And maybe Claire, jump off and come back in again.
Yeah.
Maybe your sound will be correct. Adrian?
Yes. So, I wanted to talk about something that you said, Al, and you said we deserve to be healthy.
Yes.
And I so agree with that. And I think oftentimes as a community, we don't think we do. And so tomorrow is going to be all about reminding people that we deserve to be healthy, and some of the things that, we're seeing at Children's Minnesota is in our emergency departments, we're seeing the highest volumes we've ever seen of kids trying to commit suicide, of kids, experiencing some type of mental health crisis, overdose. We're seeing overdoses in kids like we've never seen them before.
Let's jump in on that for a second, because I think it probably is I could be wrong, but a common, street feeling that, oh, suicide, that's a white thing.
Right.
Is that something that Black families and families of color experience at the same rate or a greater rate? Are we misinformed about the crises our children are in and the actions that some of them are resorting to as a result of crisis.
Yeah, we are definitely misinformed. Black children or children of color are just as likely to attempt suicide. We don't commit suicide as often, but we have mental health issues at the same or slightly higher rate than other kids. And so, if you think about it, as a Black child, you have so much more pressure on you. You have so many things working against you. And, I can tell you as a parent, I was fortunate that my daughter had a wonderful pediatrician at Children's Minnesota, Gigi Chawla, who picked up on the fact that my daughter was depressed. And I live with her, I see her every day. And you would think I would have picked up on it. And I'm a nurse, I work at a pediatric hospital, and I missed it. But her pediatrician picked up on it and started working with her. And we started going to therapy, which, I know oftentimes in the Black community, people say, oh, well, therapy is for the weak, but it isn't. I am a big proponent of therapy. I've been in therapy myself. And I think if we did more therapy, we would be a lot healthier physically, because people don't tend to recognize the connection between their mental health and their physical health. And so, I think we just have to press upon our community that mental health issues exist for everybody, and our kids experience it. Our kids have, thoughts of hurting themselves. They experience depression, all of that, and they need help. They need help, and they need therapy. Some kids need drugs, to help them work through that. We have an eating disorders program on, and when people hear eating disorders, they think, oh, you just need to get them to eat healthy foods. But the biggest problem with eating disorders is mental. You have to help the kids work through their mental health issues in order for them to be healthy enough to not have an eating disorder. And so we actually have a fair number of Black kids that are in that program too. So our kids experience mental health issues just like other communities, but Children's Minnesota is here to help. I mentioned that we are building an inpatient unit, and that was a direct response to the fact that we don't have enough inpatient beds in the Twin Cities. And it was something that had to happen because we can't really serve our community if we don't provide the access to services. And so we are expanding our access to make sure that the community gets what they need to help their kids live healthier lives from a mental standpoint. So we're really excited to share that with people at the event. We hope that we have, fewer kids coming to the emergency department with mental health issues soon, but we're in a mental health crisis with kids right now. And so we don't see a reprieve occurring anytime soon. And Children's Minnesota is responding to that by providing more services and better access to services as well.
I think, Adrian, part of the challenge is to change the narrative in our community. I'm so glad that you talked about the fact that you value therapy. And every chance I get, I try to tell people as a Black man that I value and need and do therapy and in therapy myself, and that I have been for the past several years. And actually my morning on Friday morning starts off with an hour with my therapist, right? And so, what I do know is that there's a hesitation that is working to our disadvantage in discussing, disclosing, and embracing the knowledge and the help that therapy can provide. So I feel the obligation, and I feel happy to tell people that therapy is working for me. I kind of depend on it. It's a way to talk and not be judged, and to get feedback, and to help me look at what are challenges in my life that keep me from being the best Al McFarlane that I can be. And so I want to say this to encourage other Black men in particular. Go to your mental health or health provider and look at the benefit you can derive from therapy. Tito popped on the screen here. Of course, we have our inexpensive therapy at the barber shop, but he's going to be raising his rates pretty soon. We depend on the.
I didn't want us to forget Claire. She's back up on audio though. Once she's
Claire,
yep,
jump
she's
on.
back.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Claire.
Hi, everyone. My name is Clara Kessel. I'm a community paramedic supervisor with North Memorial Health, and we could not be more excited to be part of this block party, not only to support our community, but to help build community. Some of the resources that we are looking to bring to the block party is we are going to have an ambulance there for the kiddos to tour. We know that sometimes when an ambulance shows up, it's scary, whether it's the child themselves who is being treated or a family member. So we're really trying to support the idea of these people who show up are nice and they're here to help and hopefully take some of that fear out if that ever occurs. As community paramedics, we've had a huge focus towards the opioid addiction and substance use disorders. And so we are going to be bringing 250 nasal Narcan kits to the event, and we are going to be doing training and hopefully be getting that Narcan into as many community members' hands as we can. We will also have deterra bags for the safe disposal of any drugs or medications that somebody may have in their homes. And we are also going to have people on site with doing Stop the Bleed education and giving out kits to the community.
That sounds amazing and wonderful. It sounds great, and it's wonderful that North Memorial continues to be present and in deep partnership with the community. Let me throw that question back to you. I talked about Narcan earlier. What would it be like if we, Clarence, if the community could really go into an all-out education initiative so that even block by block, would there be value in generating knowledge, awareness, and access on every block in North Minneapolis so that people could respond with confidence if there's a situation arose? Or is that not a proper use of training and resources? What do you think, Clara? And
I think that's an amazing use of training and resources because you never know who the person is who's going to utilize something and may not be aware of what it's laced with. Every person should know how to utilize this. When we do our education with the Narcan, we have a little slip wrapped around it that says call 911 and tells them just the things to look for to make sure they're breathing. So I think that that's invaluable education and everybody should have it.
And I'm looking at it as an organizing tool, as an organizing principle. We know that the danger is clear and present. The danger is escalating with the new arrival of drugs and opiates, and that doesn't appear to be dissipating. And if and as it increases, we have to be able to increase our capacity to respond in ways that are both preventive through education, but also responsive to crises that occur. And what if you had a mission or a vision to use this as one more point of entry in explaining, inviting people to consider and to know the science and the efficacy of health, of health information, health awareness, and health techniques and tools and resources. I often have said, guys, that wouldn't it be great rather than being known as a place where we have exaggerated disparities, wouldn't it be great if our North Side became a place that was the healthiest place in Minnesota, that we rebrand and recast the image of our community into an image of people that are aware and knowledgeable and that actually take on health awareness and improvement as our community business. What if we could adopt the mantra that our health is our business and we understand the business of health, the revenue streams of health, that we, by intention, try to create 1,000 jobs in the healthcare, counseling, therapy, services, wraparound services, so that we end up creating revenues and building economies around keeping each other healthy. Our health becomes our business. Well, that's my thought. Brother Tito, what do you think? I mean, you're doing the same thing at the level of the store, of your barber shop. You're expanding on that mission. Yeah, I think you and I talked this week. You said it's not just about the haircut, it's about community. What do you think?
It's 100% true. I mean, we have to be healthy. That's at the core of everything that we do. You know what I mean? If we're not healthy, it impacts every single aspect of our life, you know, and we have to be healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially, financially, you know, in our homes, in our schools. I mean, it really takes a complete, well-rounded health like ecosystem for people to be able to thrive. You know what I mean? And so that's what we're doing. I mean, so, you know, I don't know if this is a shameless plug or not, but just even with the scholarships that I do, you know what I mean? I'm trying to make absolutely certain that our students, our young Black scholars are educated. You know what I mean? So, and now we have this healthcare event. One component that's not here today, and I wish they were on the call also, is our sister Sharice Turner, you know what I mean, with the Twin Cities Habitat for Humanity, because housing, you know what I mean, is also equally important. So, I mean, it really takes everything for us to be healthy. We've been deprived and stripped away from, you know, so much has been stripped away from us, you know, throughout history. And, you know, if we don't take the time to do something about it now, we're going to continue to suffer from the things that we've been suffering from. We're going to keep getting what we've been getting. And so now's the time. This, you know, if this is not the event, I want to see what it is. You know what I mean? But we're very, very extremely intentional about making absolutely certain that we have the resources that people want, the resources that people need, the resources that people don't even know that exist. You know what I mean? We are like extremely, I went all out, you know what I mean? Just kind of wrap my head, you know, just like asking everybody, like, what other piece needs to be here? You know what I mean? And there's still some other things that I wish were like, you know, like front and center. But like I said, you know, there's going to be somebody on ground that can get you that resource if it's not here. So, you know, this is it. And I pray that the community receives it. They realize that this is for them. This has nothing to do with us, has nothing to do with healthcare systems that are on ground. This is for community. This is actually a day for community to be able to access what it is they need. So here we go.
I see Suzanne Young is here. You mentioned her earlier. Suzanne, why don't you come on and make a comment or response if you are willing to. I think I see Suzanne. Is Suzanne still here? No.
I think Suzanne had to jump off.
Yeah,
for
she
another
went to
meeting.
another meeting, but Dee
Mhm.
did make a comment, and I would like for her to elaborate on her
Dee, go
comment,
ahead.
because she hit right on the nail what Tito said. She has to unmute.
Well, we started this whole Northside Urban Coalition because we do believe our health is our business. And I'm listening to all these people and thinking how many partnerships we've created and how many more ways can we create partnerships so that we can make sure our community is healthy. But that's, our health is our business is how we started this whole thing. And it's why we're doing what we're doing. So thank you guys for all of the things that you're bringing forward and all the things that you're sharing. I really appreciate it. And it's great to learn what we don't know. And there's a lot that we don't know.
Thank you for the comment. That's great. Any other comments?
I just want to make one and say, Tito, thank you for including Hawthorne in the coalition in this event tomorrow, because it really means a lot for us to be a part of something that's going on right here in our backyard.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a pleasure to have you to be able to, you know, speak to what we're doing and be able to get that information out to community. You know, so it's important to talk about it now. It's important to talk about it afterwards. You know what I mean? Because, you know, this is a start, but, you know, we got to. So, you know, one thing I've been telling the healthcare organizations, like, we don't want to just have just this one event. you know what I mean? And just like, see you next year. You know, we want to start to put together, you know, smaller, you know, like fairs or events or wherever where people can plug into to get the resources that they need. Because, you know, tomorrow, some of the people that want to be here may not be here. You know what I mean? Not every single person has heard about it. Not every single person is available. So if we're able to do this, you know what I mean? Just, you know, whether it's at their facility, whether it's in a barbershop, or whether we can create another zone or place for it, we want to make absolutely certain that all throughout the year, people are getting what they need. So I thank you so much, absolutely, for having us today. I know all the organizations that are here, they can speak for themselves, but I'm saying thank you, you know, for them, for this, you know, for giving us the space to come here and speak about it as well.
Well, Tito, I'm going to close the program today with giving you the chance to make the invitation again and do three things. One, give date, time, place, and make the invitation. Two, praise and promote your stakeholders, partners, friends, give them all some credit. And number three, talk about Tito Wilson's business, because you are a treasure in our community. And we support and want people to support your business as well. So I'm going to give the last 5 minutes of the program to you to take it wherever you want to take it. And I hope you get some customers in your barbershop, number one. I hope that you bring more companies in to support the event tomorrow and future events. And I hope that you get more people to show up to be part of this healing experience Saturday.
Absolutely. So again, people, this event, Live Your Healthy Life, is happening tomorrow, Saturday, August 20th, from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. happening right here, North Minneapolis on West Broadway, in between Penn Avenue and Logan Avenue. Logan Avenue is where the Capri Theater is at, you know, in case anybody is wondering. And, you know, to every single sponsor, you know, I'm see if I can call them all just by memory, but it's easy because 3 of them are here. So we got Children's Hospital, or Children's Minnesota. That's what you call yourself, right, Adrian? Okay, Children's Minnesota. We got Prairie Care. We got North Memorial. We got Life Source. We got Twin Cities Habitat for Humanity. We got Aruba Emotional Services. We have Human, North Hawthorne. Was it Hawthorne Council?
Northside Coalition.
Northside Coalition. We got Aruba Emotional Services. We have Northside Epicenter, Northside STEM District, Summit Academy. I think Health Partners is involved. West Broadway Business and Area Coalition. If I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. It's a lot. I mean, more so than what I had dreamed of, has, you know, come in and said, we want to be a part of this. We support your vision. We support the community. We want to pour in also. So if I forgot anybody,
Belmont Partners. I'm looking at the ad. Belmont Partners.
Okay, Belmont Partners. Oh my goodness!
And the city of Minneapolis.
City of Minneapolis. Let's talk about Belmont Partners for a second here. So I've been working with Belmont Partners for a couple years, you know, on some other stuff. And you know, when I you know, kind of start thinking about, you know, how this event could happen, and you know, who I needed to be on my team. Belmont Partners, they were my first, outside of, you know, the two sisters that are helping me, Brittany Clausen and Latasha Sims. I reached out to Belmont Partners, and they have been with it. I mean, every single thing that I've asked them for and beyond, they have gone over and above what we asked for and what we needed. So there is, and I mean, they haven't asked for anything. A huge thank you goes out to them for all of their service, all their time, all their expertise, all their relationships, everything that they have brought in. I mean, it's priceless. It's priceless. The relationship that I've developed with them is absolutely priceless. And I thank them so much for coming in. City of Minneapolis for what they're doing as well. And, you know, talking about me, I mean, you know, hey, I'm just a little old barber working here on West Broadway. You know what I mean? Out there, it's, you know, People know who I am. You know what I mean? I don't need to shout myself out. I mean, my address is 2126 West Broadway Avenue,
There we go.
barbershop. We just try to do what we can do for the community. I'm going to tell you something. My mother told me a long time ago when I was about 22 years old. I was born and raised in Decatur, Illinois, and I moved away to Boston, Massachusetts. And I was living with my brother for the first couple of months, and I was working at some restaurant. And every day that I worked, at least, I would, the path that I took to work, there's this guy, middle-aged Black guy. He looked like he was just kind of cloaked with a lot of despair. You know what I mean? I don't know what was all going on in his life, but every day that I went to work, I would see this guy on my path. Sometimes give him a couple dollars to get some food. Sometimes I would just go and get food and take it to him. And, other times I think I took a few articles of clothing or whatever. And I would tell my mother about this guy. And she would always say, son, be careful. You know what I mean? Son, be careful. You out here in this big city, you don't know people, blah, blah, blah. And I said, Mom, I'm fine. I'm a man. I can handle it. You know what I mean? And plus I'm just giving. You know what I mean? It's nothing big. And she told me, she said, son, you can't save the world. And, it stuck with me all these years. And you know what? She's absolutely right. I cannot save the world. But what I've realized, though, through just working in the community and developing relationships with, all sorts of partners and organizations, what I've realized is that I cannot save the world, but I can do a little bit for a lot of people. And that's my mission. That is my mission. I've turned that into my mission, to do a little bit for a lot of people. So if what I'm doing, what I've done, or what I will do in the future can help impact, positively impact people, then my life's work is complete.
Names out, you can shed some light here too. Bruce Leroy, B. Croc, Louis Blaze, International Reggae All-Stars, Jamaila Pettifer, DJ Mo, is it Mo Fat? Mo Fat. So who are these people?
So, you know what, let's start off with Jamaila Pettifer. She has been on me about making absolute certain that we pronounce her name properly. Jamaila Pettifer, she's a local artist, has a soulful, I mean, her voice just melts your heart. You know what I mean? She can sing, like not sing. She can throw it out. So she's taking the stage first tomorrow, and I believe she comes on at about 12:45-ish. So she's coming to blow the house down. We have young Louis Blaze and B. Croc. They're two local young hip hop artists. They're sure to please, and I think their time is in between about. I'm not looking at the event schedule in front of me, but I believe their time is anywhere from like around 1 to 3 for the both of them. They'll be coming on. International Reggae All-Stars. I've been following these brothers. One of the band members was my friend back in Boston, Massachusetts. So I moved here first, then he moved here, and he joined that band years ago. So I've been following those guys for years. So extremely talented. If you love reggae music, they are the band to listen to. And then we have our let's talk about Bruce Leroy, local comedian, funny guy. He's a photographer, just a young, talented guy. He for the crowd also. And then just spinning. I don't know if I'm sounding young, gonna be on the ones and twos, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, man, we're looking forward to an amazing, action-packed, resource-filled, education-filled, relationship building, giveaways, V3 Sports. I forgot to mention them. They're coming in with a bunch of giveaways, bikes and backpacks giveaways. They're gonna be a nice ride. They're coming in. They have helmets. They're gonna have, so it's just, a good friend of mine, a lady that came and pecked the window when I was just starting to talk. She brought in a few bikes and some backpacks. And these are like adult backpacks, not for kids. But you name it, we got it. We're trying to blanket community tomorrow, a day of Black joy. not just, so our target initially was to
We're losing bandwidth there. You're freezing up on us.
take advantage of the day.
Listen, this has been a great hour, a great presentation. Your image is actually frozen right now, so I think we're going to close it there. You've done wonderful in explaining and inviting. Diana, let me throw it back to you to close us out. Any other comments or announcements?
I just want to thank everybody again for coming. It was nice meeting you ladies. You know, I look forward to collaborating with you again on something in the future. And Al, hope to see you at 1 o'clock.
Okay, take care.
Talk to you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.